the most effective, like thing like you said, that you found during your time making these things?
What's the most effective herb that I have found
in your journey?
In my journey, wow. Well, I guess it would, that's kind of like, if you had one herb to take with you to an island for the rest of your life, one of those questions. I would probably take, geez, that's a hard one. Why do you have to give me those hard questions? I would probably take, well, what am I using it for? Everything? Everything, okay. I would probably take either calendula or chamomile. Those would be the two I would take. Because you could use them for both, you could use them for so many things.
I would use stinging nettle.
Yeah?
Because you can eat it, then you can use it.
Oh, I was going to eat the seafood that was on the island, but but yeah, chamomile is one of those things that you can ingest. You can make an extract. I've made chamomile tincture, and I have that, yeah, just beautiful tincture. You can make, you can use it for like a tea, like an infusion. I don't have one here, but yeah, for an infusion, you could use it on your skin. You could extract it in oil, put it on your skin. So yeah, I would probably pick that. Yeah. Hi. Hey.
Earlier you said that you shouldn't like consume or ingest essential oils, like the high grade ones. Is that because they refuse to give up that certificate of analysis that proves that they're actually like high quality, or you just should never consume essential oils?
Oh yeah, you shouldn't consume essential oils.
Why?
It's very, very concentrated.
I could talk about that. The reason why you don't ingest essential oils is because the oils is very concentrated, and when you apply them to your skin, we already have the pores, we already have all the cells and the metabolism, that whatever that's in our body, and then when you apply them on your skin, your body, your organs are going to get the same effect, even better effect. Because if you do ingest them in your mouth, like they say, or in your water or tea or whatever, if you put them in your tea, it's going to evaporate and you're not going to really get nothing, maybe a flavor. But it don't go in your stomach. The reason why is because once that oil hits your mouth, it's already absorbed. The essential oil is already absorbed in your mouth. It don't go into your digestive system. So now what they're doing, they're putting them in capsules, okay? So they're swallowing them in the capsules, and that's going in your stomach. But then you're mixing it with all your acids in your stomach and everything. So really, if you really want essential oil to work, you have to ask yourself, what do you want that to work for? Say if you want it to work for your headache, you would put it on your pressure points. Say if you want it to work for your stomach, you would apply that on your stomach area. But better yet, the best place to put your essential oils is at the bottom of your feet. Yeah, and then there's reflexology, and it will tell you which parts to put it on your feet. So those are the best way. Never ingest essential oils.
No, I think the only time I have in the past was flavor more than like actual benefit.
Yeah, well, the reason I would say essential oils shouldn't be ingested is because they're very, very concentrated, as she was saying, and they can be toxic. They can hurt your liver. Yeah, I mean, and you really shouldn't put it on your skin straight. No.
Yeah, carry
No. Yeah. It's like tea tree oil. People say, oh yeah, I take tea tree oil. They're putting drops of it in their mouth. Oregano oil, right? That's the thing. Pure essential oil, because they go, oh yeah, that, prevents me from getting sick or whatever. No. No. The maximum, even on your skin, that you should put with tea tree oil is 5%. Maximum.
Dilute it?
Dilute it. Dilute it. And it'll make it irritated. It'll irritate your skin, right? Do you think so? Yeah? Okay. If it worked, then yes, great. But I found that if you put it like a strong amount of, a high amount of essential oil, that it tends to irritate the skin.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you should dilute it and like.
Dilute it. 5% is what, yeah.
So it's even like THC oil. You see people bragging that it's like does wonders, but you probably would want to dilute that too as well.
Yes. Yeah, well, it depends. Because I don't necessarily believe that the extraction that they're getting is what they're getting. When you're doing an extraction, what you extract with still remains. It's like vegetable oils, right? You get vegetable oils, everyone buys a jug of vegetable oil, you just buy whatever. Don't buy whatever. Buy cold pressed, first press olive oil or canola. That's harder to find, okay? Because if you don't, you know what they extract those with? They extract it with hexane. You know what hexane is? It's an organic solvent. But hexane is wonderful when it comes to making oil, because for the companies that are mass producing vegetable oils, it extracts most of it out. And you get a high recovery, and that's what they're looking for, because it's about money. But if you go and you buy cold pressed canola or cold pressed extra virgin olive oil, you're going to pay a premium because it is much more expensive, right? But do that because that other stuff is, yeah, it's, the hexane is still in there. And some people would argue with me, I'm sure. Somebody from the oil company would say, no, it's fine. It'll be fine. That little bit of hexane isn't going to kill you. It evaporates off when you cook it, but does it really?
I would imagine for those big chains of essential oils, but they make a lot of money off the misconception that you have to use it all. Like toothpaste. You don't have to use that much toothpaste, but they want you to use it.
Oh, look at the commercials. It's like flip it around and get a. If you use that much, your stuff is falling out of your mouth, is it not?
Yeah.
No, that much. That
You
much.
make the powder toothpaste?
I've made it for myself, but I don't sell it or anything.
No.
Yeah, I've made the toothpaste too, for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just too much work, and people can make it yourself at home. Yeah. Yeah.
I bought it from like my herbal gatherings in Maine.
Yeah. That's nice. Okay,
Let them do it.
questions?
I have one about the oil. It's the only thing that I really have experience with, and I'm always like, I don't have enough room to keep it all in my fridge. I'm always a little bit worried about it going rancid. If you get good quality oil, is there sort of like a guideline on how long it might keep, like on a shelf?
I usually buy enough to last a year. You can keep it a year if you keep it cool. Our laboratory where we do our products, it's cool because it's an old warehouse kind of building, so concrete, foundation, concrete floor. So a year, I would say a year, that would be fine. Now everything that goes rancid, it's usually because of the water content that's in it. And oils they still go rancid even though you would think theoretically there's no water in it. So keeping them cool does help, but you don't have to keep them in the refrigerator. Yeah.
Okay, with your tinctures. Okay, because I had made tinctures years ago, but I went through it before I moved down here.
Yeah.
Tinctures, and some of the tinctures had that like brown stuff in it. So I thought they were all no good, so I threw them all away.
No, tinctures stay good for, you could say tinctures stay good forever. Some people say, yeah, 7 years, 9 years, 10 years, whatever, but it's in alcohol, it's preserved, it's in suspended animation.
Yeah.
Now those little floaties that get in them, get yourself what they call milk filters. They use these milk filters. They use them to filter milk on the farm.
Yeah.
And they're made out of food grade fibers that are safe for you, and you can filter the tinctures through that even after that, because I need to filter that as well because there's still sediment.
Yeah.
It's coming through the Here's some beeswax. This is what I use to harden up salves and stuff. Just remember 5%. 5% by weight. Don't go by volume. If you're reading a recipe and it says, get 1 teaspoon of olive oil and a teaspoon, I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? You got to go by weight. You got to go by weight and not volume, because volumes are, especially for solids, it's difficult to measure volume.
Where do you get your beeswax?
This one here came from the Gerbers,
Okay.
and the folks at the market.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so you guys have tried beeswax, right? You can pass it around. You know what bees?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did a good job for us.
Yeah,
Yeah, I had cleaned them too.
yeah, you got to clean it.
Like beehives and stuff like that, and I don't have to process it.
Yeah, the propolis I get from them as well.
What is that used for? I really like.
It's an antibiotic as well. I make it for them every year. Oh, I'm gonna pass this around.
So when you
Oh, I can't take that.
so when you buy it in the petal form, like what do you use that on?
The propolis?
Yeah.
No, I didn't buy it. I get it from the folks who keep
yeah,
the bees.
But when you get it, like, you know, I noticed they sell it at Nissan's Market. Like,
Oh, you mean the beeswax?
no, the propolis.
Propolis. Oh, yeah, I don't know.
And I'm like, geez, I wonder what you would use that on.
You can use it on your skin. You can actually take the tincture internally.
Okay.
I know that some folks use it just as like an immune system booster, right? Yeah.
You can eat it like out of the.
Yeah. Isn't that sweet? But I know it's alcohol. That is this. That is the Everclear. This is flammable. So don't I don't know if anybody's smoking, but don't smoke while you're working with this. Don't, light a candle. Don't do that stuff. Seriously, this is dangerous stuff. Will light you up, literally. Very, very, very potent alcohol. Any other questions? Yes.
When we passed around over that was in Funny, like you said, it was a simple syrup, so there was water in it.
Yes.
I just went down.
Would honey be a... I missed it, sorry.
Was good, just by really. Does it matter as much with the water, or?
No, honey's the same way. You need to be cognizant of how much water is in it. I made a spruce... I should have brought that one. I'll bring it Friday. I made a Spruce Bud Honey. And what I did was I went out in March or April, and you know the little buds on the spruce trees?
Yeah.
And I picked a whole bunch of them, stuck them in a jar, and I poured honey on top of it. And I made that in 2006. It's still good.
Wow.
It did not ferment.
Just whatever was in.
Just the honey. And yeah, just what was in the bud. And that was okay, right? Because that liquid went in with the honey in it. And it's thin, like you can move it around. It's not like honey anymore, but it was enough, because it's not really the honey that's the I guess I shouldn't say the honey. It's the sugar. Sugar is a great preservative, okay? If you have something that's at least 67% sugar, it will keep. It will not grow stuff on it. That's why, like jellies and stuff, you can make jellies and jams, and it's okay. You don't have to pressure can them or anything. Back in the old days, they used to seal it with paraffin wax.
My grandmother does that.
The paraffin wax. Yeah, you just pour the paraffin wax.
Sell it at the store with all the canning supplies.
They do, yeah. And so I guess some people are still doing that method. I used to back in the day. I would pour the paraffin on there. And I was like, why am I doing that? Just put a jar lid on there.
I like the ones in sugar though, right? Like
Yeah.
anything vegetables or whatever, it should be easy.
Oh yeah, you gotta have it. You gotta have a pressure canner. You gotta have that in order to get the temperature high enough.